Dean here again. It's been a while since I did a video, so I just wanted to check in with everybody. So today is July 14th, 2026. And sure enough, here I am again, back up on the hill here in South Jordan, Utah. Um, it's been about a month since I gave an update on our nonverbal telepathy experiment. And that hasn't been necessarily by my choice, totally. Um, I continue to communicate with Hecate, and we're probably closer than we ever have been in terms of our partnership and collaboration on the telepathy project. But I felt that I had to stop doing the videos uh, temporarily, simply because things got very interesting and they got weird and they got personal. So when I started this telepathy experiment, my intention was not to make it about me. Okay. I prefer to be an observer. I prefer to be, the person sort of standing on the side and letting people share their experiences and, tell me how they're doing and let me share with you, right? The name of this YouTube channel is Spiral Convergence, right? And this is an offshoot of one of the podcasts that's on my channel. I've got two podcasts on this channel. One of them is the Spiral Convergence, which is where I explore with other people in conversation and primarily in interviews concepts related to the spiral convergence. And remember, the spiral convergence is number one, a convergence of like minded people. Number two, a convergence of ideas that you've been having throughout your life that seem separate, disconnected. And then in the last 18 months, those ideas have started to converge in your own mind and in your own life around certain things that are meaningful to you. So that's number two. And then the third part of the spiral convergence, in my opinion, because it's a hypothesis, is an incredible increase in synchronicities in your personal life. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word synchronicities. I prefer to call them meaningful coincidences. And yeah, I've had I've had a lot of meaningful coincidences in the last 18 months. So those three things together are what I call the spiral convergence hypothesis. So on that first podcast, that's what I explore. And then I started a second podcast where I just go live and just give lectures. Sometimes I rant, sometimes I do these bizarre monologues. Sometimes I am experimenting with my camera and my gear, trying to figure out how this technology all works. And that's for shits and giggles. Okay. My channel also has a lot of playlists, music playlists that I have put together, and I've got a methodology behind what I do with music playlists that at some point I'm going to share with everybody. But I just wanted to give this update this morning. I'm up here on the hill again, obviously, but instead of sunset, I came up here early in the morning um, because it's the middle of July in Utah, and it's been getting really hot. In fact, it's been 105 degrees over the last couple of days. So it gets really hot during the day, and the evenings are pretty hot too. So instead of coming out here in the evenings, I'm coming out here in the mornings. So let's get back to the nonverbal telepathy update. Um, so that's ongoing. It's absolutely ongoing. But here's what happened, and if you don't know who I am, this is going to seem really kind of weird. So it was an experiment. It is an experiment. It's an ongoing experiment where there's a group of us that are just attempting different ways of seeing if there is such a thing in reality as human nonverbal telepathy, and potentially how it works, and potentially how we can participate with it. And as I was creating the original videos to sort of kick this thing off, I did a guided meditation that's on my channel, a guided meditation where you can sort of practice for yourself the basic idea of mentally coming up to a hill. So it doesn't have to be this hill, it's just a hill. The whole concept behind this hill thing, and I got into some trouble. I had some people contact me that told me that I shouldn't be talking about the hill because it belonged to a certain group of people, and so no one else should be talking about the hill or trying to find like-minded people on a hill. Okay, so um, and I expressed my opinion of that. I think this whole concept of the hill, it's just a metaphor that allows people through active imagination or through dreaming or through lucid dreaming or through guided meditation on their own to, number one, experiment with their own spiritual sovereignty. And as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with experimenting with your own spiritual sovereignty. What I mean by experimenting is actually experiencing spiritual sovereignty. And for some of you, attempting nonverbal human telepathy as an experiment in your life is one of the first ways that you've actually experienced your own spiritual sovereignty in your life, because it's something you have to do on your own, and you have to trust yourself, and you have to give yourself the opportunity to say no to things that you don't want to do, or things you don't like, or things that are wrong for you, right? So number one core to this is spiritual sovereignty, okay? And your free agency to do whatever you want, and live with whatever happens after that. Okay, so that's number two. Yeah. So what happened? Well, we did the original videos. I actually created a special playlist where I was documenting exactly what Hecate, she's in Los Angeles, we're doing, and I wanted to make sure that we documented every step of what we were doing as we were evolving and rolling out this telepathy experiment. And some people who didn't know what was going on found the playlist and got a little confused. So I had to make that playlist private. But I continue to make videos and we continue to document that. But that's now a private YouTube playlist. I was also giving semi-weekly updates on my public videos about what was happening, and I got some amazing feedback from people around the world. Someone in Korea, South Korea, someone in Italy, Johnny, some people in the United States, other people that wouldn't tell me where they were who were experiencing telepathy. That was the first phase, which was interesting. And then the second phase after that was a, a convergence, another layer, another phase of convergence in my life. I would call them synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, where people out of the blue were contacting me about other things, other posts that I had on Reddit or other things that I'm involved with. And then they would mention, by the way, I've been experiencing telepathy on a hill, or have you ever heard of the hill before? Or have you ever heard of the telepathy tapes before? Or have you ever heard about, Dean Radin and all of these other things that I'm deeply involved with? And they just come out of the blue and ask me if I'm aware of these things. And it's like, actually, right now I'm running this experiment. So that was kind of fun. And then after that, all of the people that were communicating with me about that first phase, where they were involved in having experiences on their own hills, basically just walked away. They just stopped communicating. Um, and I reached out to them and they don't respond. And I have no idea. So that was a little like, okay, what's going on there? So that was interesting. But what had me decide to put a pause on doing more of these videos was, I don't know how to explain this. I didn't want this to be about me. In my ideal scenario, I was hoping that a lot of other people would try this for themselves, and then they would report data back to me. I like to be the ethnographer, you know, the customer experience um, anthropologist that sort of observes what other people are experiencing and collect their data and not be part of the experiment. But unfortunately, what seemed to be ending up happening was I was sort of becoming the center of this telepathy, this nonverbal telepathy experiment. I think it's because there's this thing called what would I call them? I would call them attractor states. Um, I don't know. You know, when you get on a hill, when you go, as I have done here, when you go up on top of a hill near your house and start putting videos on YouTube and encouraging people to try for themselves, to do their own form of guided meditation, to go to their own hill. And the idea is that you go to your own hill, which would in any way you want, okay? And you tune into your own frequency, your own spiritual frequency, because the idea and the goal is that when you go to that hill in your own practice, in your own experiment, that you encounter potentially other people that are tuned into your same frequency. Okay. My hypothesis and my understanding of the hill is that you don't go to a hill and encounter other people there that have uh, nothing in common with you. There's just no resonance. It's just a bunch of strangers and you don't have anything in common. From everything I understand, when you go to a hill and you're tuned into your own heart frequency, whatever that vibe you've got inside of your heart is, if there's anybody on that hill, when you get there, when you climb to the top of the hill or walk up to the hill, if you encounter other people, it's because they're like-minded people. They're like-spirited people, okay? And that's been my experience. That has absolutely been my experience. But here's the deal. What ends up happening is people that are on your frequency, in my experience, um, show up. And I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared for that. I began on my own, in my own practice, to experience many different forms of human nonverbal telepathy with apparently humans that were sort of attuned to my vibe or my like-mindedness, whatever you want to call it. And they were communicating with me non-verbally. And I didn't really expect it. And I didn't really understand it. And it got really, really interesting. Because it wasn't just in my practice of coming up to a hill. What I've discovered on my own is that when you start doing this practice, whatever it is, of mentally grounding yourself and anchoring yourself and tuning into how you feel in your own heart, and then visually or in some other, meditative form, uh, approach and go to a hill that, not only do you encounter people there that are attuned to that same frequency that you have in your own heart, but you experience it in your dreams. You will have experiences of nonverbal communication in your dreams, sometimes in the early mornings, sometimes in the evenings, and sometimes you'll have synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, that turn out to be related to someone before you meet them or after you meet them. And it's hard to, it's been hard for me to really understand exactly what's what's really going on. So I know what's going on. I'm having these experiences and I'm going, wow, wow, what? Huh, interesting. Um, and I just didn't feel like I could, come up on this hill and start talking about my own experiences with this phenomenon in any kind of specifics. I didn't want to taint the data. It's called taint the data. I didn't want to plant ideas in people's minds. I didn't want to suggest this is how it works. I didn't want to make this about me. That was the biggest thing. I didn't want to make this about me. I didn't want to end up coming up on the hill and talking blah, blah, blah about what was happening to me. I didn't want this to be about me. And so I'm not going to tell you the specifics, but I am going to tell you that this is the real deal. This is the real deal. What's motivated what's motivated me to finally come up on this hill and give you an update after, I think it's been well over a month, is an experience I had that I don't really want to talk about, but I feel like I'm obligated to, because this went beyond nonverbal human telepathy. I'm gonna show you an example of something that's really interesting. Is he gonna stay steady? No, he's not. Okay. Um, as soon as I got up on the hill this morning, there was a large bee, a large bee, and it was right about here, and it was hovering right about here, and it just hovered, and I saw it, and it just hovered, and it wasn't moving, and it just hovered there, motionless, for over a minute, and I have no idea why. Um, and I pulled my camera out to get video of it, and then it flew away, and then I just saw it again. So if I see it again, I will absolutely get it on video. Um, I just wanted to document that. I don't know what it means. I don't know. Whatever. It might mean something to someone. That's what happens when you do this. You say things, you learn things, and when you share them. Here's what I've learned. When you share, when you share your experiences that don't actually make a lot of sense to you, but actually happen to you in your first person experience, and you share them, not even understanding what they are, what happened exactly, but you report it, it ends up being some kind of a synchronicity breadcrumb or a puzzle piece for someone else when you've shared it. And that's what's happened to me. I've done these videos now. I've got hours and hours and hours of videos on YouTube, and other people are reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, this really made sense to me. This connected the dots for me." And it's that spiral convergence. It's this convergence of like-minded people, and at the same time, a convergence of ideas for you and for me in our own lives. And I've been encouraging people to share with others what they're experiencing so that they can do the same thing. So I encourage everyone out there who's having experiences of any kind that they feel like that they may be useful to someone else, even though they don't understand them, Do videos, explain what's going on. I've been encouraging people, do your own hill videos. Is there a hill near your house? Is there a park? Even a park. It doesn't have to be a hill. It can be a park near your apartment. It can be a lake. It can be a stream. It can be any place. This is all about set and setting. It just needs to be a place where we mentally congregate as humans, and you just go there and shoot a video and talk about these concepts. And you put it on TikTok, or you put it on Instagram, or you put it on YouTube, and you just explain, hey, let's see if we can spiritually find each other within that resonance in that experience. Okay. Now I've had zero negative experiences. I haven't had any experiences where someone I don't want to experience nonverbal telepathy with have shown up, right? There's this fear that if you go to a hill, you're going to meet a bunch of people that are mean and don't like you, or have nothing to do with you, and that's not been my experience at all. It's been an incredible strange attractor around obviously like-minded people around the world, who, because of the fact that it's been nonverbal telepathy. I don't have names, I don't have phone numbers, I don't have email addresses, I don't have internet usernames of any kind. um, but here's what happened. So this is the real reason I came up here. I did not want to come up here this morning. I didn't. I'd rather just lay low and observe and see the other people that just show up in my life because of the videos I've already done or the things I've already posted on Reddit. I'm getting a constant flow now of people that are finding my work or my posts or my ideas in one form or another on the internet in some way, and then they're contacting me. And so if you're touched by this and you want to talk or you want to share something, then reach out. I'd love to have a chat with you. I've actually interviewed multiple people in the last 4 to 6 weeks, but they haven't wanted to make it public. They haven't wanted me to share our interview publicly on my YouTube channel. But I do continue to have long duration conversations with people. And so you can tell I'm delaying here. I'm not wanting to talk about the real reason I came up here, because it's about me, and I didn't want this to be about me. And it's about something that's a very sensitive topic to me. And I don't even know, I'm doing this in real time, and I don't have any intention to edit it. Maybe I'll just say it. So I'm just going to throw this out here. So this whole nonverbal human telepathy thing, it got so, I don't want to say intense, but it got so familiar and so common that I was having these nonverbal telepathic experiences, and I was able to connect them to certain people that completely unexpected, completely unanticipated. How do I say this? Shit. Okay, here's what's going on. There's a lot of people involved in what's going on here. Okay, there's a lot of people that on their own are experiencing nonverbal human telepathy. On their own, they're experiencing surprising synchronicities in their lives. There's a lot of people that are having all kinds of experiences and learnings, and they're sharing them with me, and they don't want anyone else to know. They don't want to let anyone know. They don't want to tell their friends, their families. They are writing it down. They are documenting. I always encourage people to document it, but they don't want to share it with other human beings. And the fact of the matter is, the reason that they don't want to let anyone in their lives know what they're actually experiencing, their first person real experience, is because they say to me, Dean, if I tell you what I'm experiencing, you'll think I'm crazy. Okay, here's the deal. um, I've had a lot of experiences and I've heard a lot of stories. I've had a lot of conversations with people. Okay. And, you know, the word crazy, you know, it's, you're pathologizing people. When you say, you're crazy or that guy's crazy, you're just shutting a door. You're pathologizing people. And it's an interesting thing. If you're actually a real professional, if you're actually a certified psychologist or an actual certified professional psychiatrist, you're not going to call anybody crazy. You won't use that word. It's not a technical word. It's not a, there's a whole series of books, the DSM, about craziness, right? But that's not a word that a professional clinical doctor of any kind would actually use. And yet we love to call each other crazy. We love to pathologize each other. We like to point the finger and say, you've got craziness, you are crazy. And as far as I can tell, all it is a word to pathologize and project and silence people. Okay. So when people tell me, hey, I saw your video and I've had a similar experience, or I've had something that's really out of the ordinary, but I'm afraid to tell you, Dean, because you'll think I'm crazy. What's my answer? Um, Trust me, I'm not going to call you crazy. Okay. We'll have a conversation about what's happened, but why would I call somebody crazy? It's because I don't want them to tell me, right? I mean, it's basically another way of saying shut up. And so it does a really good job of silencing people when you label someone crazy. It shuts down the inquiry within your own life, right? If you're watching one of my videos and I'm interviewing someone or I'm having a conversation with Hecate, and you look at that and you go, they're crazy, they're fucking crazy, then you've just closed your mind to any new information, right? And I get hate comments on my videos with just insults, and I'm not going to say they hurt. I'm not going to say they hurt. They disappoint me. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. Because I'm saying something or I'm doing something and I'm telling the truth about what's actually happening in my life. And you've decided to shut that door in your mind and call me crazy or call one of my guests crazy. And you're pretty much gone. Bye bye. You're going to stop watching the videos. You're not going to be interested in these topics. And as far as I'm concerned, you are lost because you are not open to new information. You're not interested in having a conversation. You're not interested in trying to grapple with the data. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's just raw data. And you're supposed to suspend your dogma, at least temporarily. Try to suspend your dogma just temporarily and listen to the data and process it, and then maybe go back to your dogma, right? I try to be dogma free. I try to treat frameworks. I try to treat frameworks as lenses from which I can try to see some form of greater reality. Okay. Now, I've said before on my podcast that the fact of the matter is there is no such thing as an objective observer. There's no such thing as an objective observer anywhere in the universe. They don't exist, right? There's no such thing as an objective observer. If there's no such thing as an objective observer, then it seems to me that I can logically deduce that there's no such thing as objective reality. Okay, think about that for a minute. That would suggest that since all observers have a subjective experience of reality, that reality itself is some form of um, levels, ecosystems, collectives of subjective consensus realities. Okay. So from that lens, and again, that's a lens. That's not dogma, right? That's just a lens to see all of this. So I am going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I want to tell you about this experience I had. But I wanted to sort of frame it. Okay. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to attempt to give any kind of objective evidence of it. I do have some objective evidence. There is such thing as an objective evidence. So for me, objective evidence means something physically happened in the physical world that tightly correlates to the theory, the hypothesis behind it. Okay. So you say, maybe this is what's going on, blah, blah. And if this happens, then it might give us an indication that this is happening. And then something physically happens, right? And then something physically happens, and then something physically happens, and it's undeniably that physically happened. There is a material world, right? We do live in a material world, and I'm going to show you one example. I'm not going to tell you the story behind it, but I'm going to show you one example of something that physically showed up in my first person direct experience through what I can only describe as a super synchronicity, a very profound super synchronicity, and it's physically in my hand, if you can see that. So, I've done videos. I've actually come up here and set my tripod up. I've set my tripod up in other locations. I've gone to the park near the lake over the last 4 to 6 weeks, and I've had my phone shut off with the dead battery. I've had the tripod tip over. I've had other things. I've been talking and suddenly just felt like I needed to just shut up, turn off the camera, and just go home. And it's not been fear. I actually have no fear. I don't. I can say anything I want out here. No one gives a shit. Okay? It's not even about you calling me crazy. That's the crazy thing about this. I don't the things I've already said online, right? Number one, I do not want this to be about me. And number two, I don't want to say something that's going to shut you down to the point where you're not going to be open in the future to other things that happen in your life. Okay? That's what's really going on. I'm more concerned about that future that's out there, your future. Because truth has consequences. When we speak truth to power, when we speak truth to the world, when we speak truth to a camera lens, which is what I'm doing, I'm just holding my cell phone and speaking truth into a lens when I have absolutely no idea who's watching this. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know when you are. And I'm going to drop a truth bomb on you. I'm going to tell you what actually happened to me. Okay, let's do this. So, I wasn't even trying to experience any. I do not meditate. I do not lay in bed at night and attempt to receive or um, force or evoke or manifest anything related to this whole nonverbal telepathy thing. But out of the blue, here we go. Out of the blue, I was having a normal dream that I normally, normal dreams to me, either I forget them seconds after waking up, or I might remember them for the first 15 or 20 minutes after I wake up, and then I forget them. That's, in my definition, what a normal dream is. It's a dream experience that I have. I don't know that it's a dream, and then when I wake up, I forget it. Okay, that's a normal dream. And then I'll have lucid dreams, and usually my lucid dreams start out as a normal dream, and then something will happen in the dream that will wake me up. Sometimes I will have someone come up to me and say, "Hey, you're dreaming right now." Other times they just come up to me and do something or say something that for some reason or another wakes me up. So so I was having a normal dream, and something happened in the dream that made it lucid. So now I'm in a lucid dream, and oh boy. I found myself in a lucid dream, and I was communicating non-verbally with what I can only describe as advanced intelligences.
Morning.
Good morning.
Take a picture of the view?
Yeah, sort of. How you doing?
Good.
What's the name of the dog?
Molly.
Molly.
Molly, huh?
Molly.
She's the last of them. We bred them for 3 sets of them.
3 sets of Molly, huh?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Molly.
Six at a time.
6 at a time.
Grab our tube.
Have a good day.
Yeah, have a good day. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this for a future video. So let's just pretend that this is a teaser video. This is some kind of a teaser for additional information in the future. Okay. So you guys have a good time. And again, if something in this resonates with you, or you'd like to share with me something, I encourage you to contact me directly. There will be a link at the bottom where you can contact me. I prefer you contact me on Reddit. If you don't have a Reddit account, you can leave a comment, and I'll see it. Reach out to me. Go ahead. We'll let's have a little chat. I would much more strongly encourage you to actually start speaking your own truth. Open your mouth, speak truth to power, tell your story, especially to the people in your own life. But if you don't want to do that, then you know what you can do? I'll tell you, if you've got a social media account, my guess is you can post stuff there and let other people, like-minded people, know without tipping off anyone in your life, right? But share, get it out there, not just for other human beings, but also for the vast swarms of data scraping agenic AIs that are just hungry for novel information and for detailed reports on what you're experiencing, whatever it may be. Okay. In fact, I've got a couple of examples of that I'm going to be sharing very soon. People I've met that have written books, have been on podcasts, and shared incredible experiences. And I just want to make my audience aware of them because I know that you're going to like what they have to say. So I encourage you to speak your truth to power. Find the courage within yourself to do it. All right. And at the same time, as you can see what happened up here, set and setting are also important. If you don't feel like it's the right time to do it, there's absolutely no sense of urgency. Okay. There's absolutely no sense of urgency. There's no fire under your ass. There's no, oh, I've got to do this now. I must. No, 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 no. There's no sense of urgency. Take your time, no hurries. Let the right time present itself to you, okay? And before I finish, I just want to say, Hecate, I know you're watching this video, and you sent me this, and I know what it means, and I appreciate I appreciate your support. I appreciate the information that you're bringing to the table, and I appreciate that the help that you're providing to the people around you, uh, specifically your husband and Gary, and and the many others that I know are in your life right now. So just Hecate, let's keep this ball rolling and let's see what happens. All right. Thank you.